Questions. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, today I want to share a simple idea. An idea so simple that most people ignore it, but so powerful that it can change your entire emotional climate. Now, questions. I know what some of you are thinking, boozy. But I'm already busy. Questions. My life is running faster than my internet during a software update. But please understand there is a big difference between being burdened busy and purposefully busy. One drains you. Questions. The other grows you. One exhausts you, the other elevates you. Our mind is like a monkey. Not just any monkey. A monkey that's had 3 cups of coffee and found someone's unlocked smartphone. Questions. If you don't give it something meaningful to do, it will trouble you. Have you noticed? When we are free, our mind instantly switches to overthinking mode. Worries, insecurities, comparison, questions, fears, they all walk in without knocking. So instead of allowing the mind to wander into the jungle of stress, keep it engaged in something purposeful. A busy mind has no time for negativity. Questions. Let me tell you a story. 2 friends met after many years. One was glowing, energetic, full of joy. The other looked like he was perpetually buffering. The glowing friend said, "Bro, what happened?" Questions. You were always the most cheerful guy. The tired friend replied, "I just sit at home and think. The first friend said, "That's your problem." Questions. Your life is like an idle car engine, making noise but going nowhere. My dear friends, motion creates emotion. When we are engaged, we feel alive. When we stay idle, we start doubting. Questions. Complaining and comparing. I'm not telling you to overload yourself. I'm telling you to upgrade yourself. Choose tasks that energize you, inspire you, make you grow. Be busy learning. Questions. Be busy improving. Be busy serving. Be busy creating. When your heart is full of purpose, your mind has no space left for poison. Look at modern life. People are lonely, anxious, questions, confused, not because they don't have things to do, but because they don't have meaningful things to do. Scrolling endlessly is not being busy. Binge watching is not being busy. Questions. Arguing on the internet is not being busy. These things keep you occupied, but they don't keep you fulfilled. Fulfillment comes from progress. Progress comes from purposeful engagement. Questions. One of the fastest ways to happiness is to serve others. Do something kind. Help someone. Volunteer. Use your time to uplift someone else's life. When you stay busy doing good, questions, goodness stays busy taking care of you. The universe notices every act of compassion. You know what boredom does? It opens the door for bad habits. It invites overthinking. Questions. It gives space for depression. A bored mind becomes a dangerous playground. But a busy mind, especially a constructively busy mind, becomes a powerhouse of positivity. Ever observed happy people? Questions. They are always doing something. They are always learning something. They always have a project, a mission, a passion. They don't wait for motivation. They generate motivation by staying engaged. Questions. Just like a bicycle, you only fall when you stop moving. We are not meant to live like machines. We are meant to live like musicians, creating a rhythm, a flow, a melody. Be busy. Questions. But don't be rushed. Be productive, not frantic. Be purposeful, not pressured. Busyness that aligns with your values becomes bliss. Busyness that does not align becomes stress. Questions. People who drown themselves in work so they don't have to face their emotions. This is not healthy. Focused, disciplined, goal-driven. This builds confidence, strength, and self-respect. Yoga. Questions. Reading, meditation, helping others, learning new skills. This is the highest form of busy. It nourishes the soul. Choose the third kind. You will never regret it. Every morning, ask yourself questions. What meaningful thing will I engage in today? Not how much time will I waste, but how much value will I create? Your value decides your vibration. Questions. Your vibration decides your happiness. And the more meaningful tasks you fill your day with, the happier your life becomes. My dear friends, if you don't keep your mind busy with good things, questions, it will keep itself busy with bad things. Life is too precious to waste in overthinking, complaining, or comparing. Stay engaged, stay purposeful, stay useful. Questions. Because the happiest people are not the ones who have the most leisure, but the ones who have the most purpose. Questions. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a house. If this house remains empty, silent, and unused, dust starts gathering. Spiders begin building their webs. Questions. And strange noises echo through the hallways. But the moment you fill that house with people, laughter, conversations, movement, and warmth, all of that dust and darkness disappear automatically. Questions. You don't have to fight the dust. You simply fill the space with something meaningful. In the same way, an idle mind naturally attracts negativity. Not because you are a negative person, questions, but because emptiness never stays empty for long. The human mind has a habit. When it is not occupied, it starts wandering. And 99% of the time, it wanders into the lanes of what if questions. Why me? I'm not good enough. They are better than me. What will people say? And every possible fear that has absolutely no relation to reality. Questions. But when the mind is busy, purposefully engaged, it simply doesn't have room for such thoughts. Take a simple daily life example. Think of a day when you had absolutely nothing to do. Questions. Maybe it was a Sunday. You woke up, checked your phone, scrolled for a while, got bored, kept scrolling anyway, ate something, lay down, felt lazy, scrolled again. Questions. Compared your life with those Instagram vacation photos of people you don't even know, and by evening you were thinking, why is my life so dull? Questions. What am I doing with myself? Nothing actually went wrong that day. No bad events happened. No crisis. No tragedy. Yet you ended the day feeling low, empty, and dissatisfied. Why? Questions. Because your mind had nothing constructive to engage with. When you don't direct your mind, it directs you. And it usually doesn't take the scenic route. It takes the shortcut to negativity. Questions. Now compare it to a day when you are deeply involved in something you love or something meaningful. Maybe you're working on a project you're passionate about, helping someone, learning something new. Questions. Preparing for an exam, assisting your family at home, or even cooking something special. That day passes in a flow. You don't have time to get tangled in unnecessary thoughts. You feel active, questions, productive, and surprisingly, even happier. The difference is not the day, it's the direction of your mind. Let's take another relatable example. Questions. Have you noticed that when we are waiting for someone, even 10 minutes feels like an hour? Our mind starts creating stories. Questions. Are they stuck in traffic? Did they forget? Are they avoiding me? What if something happened to them? But when we are busy doing something we enjoy, like watching a show, questions, working on a hobby, or having a meaningful conversation, we don't even realize how 3 hours pass. The same brain, the same time, the same person. But a different level of engagement. Questions. One of the biggest misunderstandings people have that being busy means being stressed. But being busy with purpose is very different from being busy with pressure. Questions. Stress comes when you are forced to do something you don't like. Happiness comes when you choose to engage with something that nourishes you. Questions. A gardener who tends to plants every morning isn't stressed, he's peaceful. A child who spends hours drawing is not pressured, she's joyful. Questions. A mother preparing food for her family isn't burdened, she's expressing love. A student learning passionately isn't exhausted, he's growing. When your mind is filled with meaningful activity, questions, negative thoughts don't get space to enter. Just like sunlight automatically removes darkness, you don't have to chase darkness out with a broom. You simply turn on the light. Questions. Let me share one more everyday example. Think about someone who is on a trip or vacation. They have a schedule full of things to do. Sightseeing, exploring, eating, laughing, traveling. Questions you rarely hear them say, "I'm feeling anxious," or "I'm feeling negative." Why? Because their mind is actively engaged with experiences. The same person goes back home after vacation, questions, sits with nothing to do, and suddenly overthinking starts again. It's not the place, it's the state of their mind. A busy mind engaged in the present moment, questions, has no time to create unnecessary suffering. This is why people say, keep yourself occupied. But I would refine that, don't just keep yourself occupied, keep yourself meaningfully occupied. Questions. Fill your time with growth, connection, creativity, learning, and service. When your days are rich with purpose, your mind becomes rich with peace. Remember, negativity needs space to grow. Questions. If you don't give it space, it cannot survive. When you are busy improving your life, you simply don't have the time to complain about life. When you are busy learning, questions, you don't have time to compare. When you are busy giving, you don't have time to feel empty. And when you are busy loving, you don't have time to feel lonely. Questions. So whenever you catch yourself sinking into unnecessary thoughts, don't fight the thoughts. Just shift your focus. Engage in something meaningful. Take action. Start a small task. Questions. Begin a small project. Clean your room. Call someone who inspires you. Read something uplifting. Learn a new skill. Help some move your body. Pray. Reflect. Create. Questions. Anything that brings you back into motion brings your mind back into balance. Because when the mind is busy with what matters, it forgets what doesn't. Questions. And a mind that forgets negativity naturally remembers happiness. Questions. Have you ever noticed that overthinking never comes when you are busy, active, or immersed in something meaningful? Questions. It always sneaks in during the gaps. Those empty pockets of time when you are doing nothing, thinking nothing, planning nothing. Just like weeds grow fastest in neglected soil. Questions. Overthinking grows in a neglected mind. Imagine your mind is a room. If this room is left empty for too long, random people will walk in, dust will settle, and unwanted noise will echo. Questions. But if the same room is filled with music, people, activity, and purpose, there's no space for unwanted disturbance. Overthinking works exactly the same way. It needs emptiness. Questions. It needs a silent doorway. It needs an unoccupied moment. And the more unoccupied your day is, the more occupied your mind becomes with imaginary problems. Take a simple example from daily life. Questions. Maybe you've had a day off with nothing planned. You wake up slowly, scrolling your phone, lying in bed, not really engaging in anything productive. Very soon your mind starts digging. Questions. What am I even doing with my life? Why am I not as successful as others? Did I make a mistake in the past? What if things go wrong tomorrow? Nothing from the outside triggered these thoughts. Questions. There was no crisis, no conflict, no new information, just free time. And in that free time, your mind decided to open old files, outdated fears, and unnecessary worries. But imagine another scenario. Questions. You wake up on a day where you have something meaningful to do. Maybe work to finish, a friend to meet, a hobby to practice, a task you've been excited about. You're active, engaged, moving. Questions. Thinking, focused. Suddenly there is no space for overthinking. Why? Because purpose occupies the same mental space that overthinking tries to occupy. Overthinking is like an uninvited guest. Questions. It only enters when the door is left open. Purpose is the one who closes the door gently. Think of a person waiting for someone outside a cafe. They have nothing else to do. Questions. So their mind begins creating stories. Why aren't they here yet? Are they not coming? Why am I being avoided? Did something bad happen? 10 minutes feel like an hour. Questions. The more idle the mind, the more dramatic the imagination. But if the same person brings a book, a notebook, or something meaningful to do while waiting, those 10 minutes feel light, peaceful. Questions, even enjoyable. The situation is exactly the same. The difference is only the presence or absence of purpose. Overthinking often exaggerates things that don't even exist. Questions. It magnifies tiny issues into gigantic monsters. For example, if you send someone a message and they don't reply immediately, an idle mind begins designing horror films. Questions. Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Are they ignoring me? Did I lose them? But if your mind is busy, if you're working, reading, exercising, helping at home, questions, creating something, your brain simply says, they'll reply when they can. See how simple life feels when the mind is engaged. Let's consider another common scenario. Questions. You're lying in bed at night, scrolling your phone, doing nothing meaningful. Suddenly your mind drags you to events from 5 years ago. Questions. That one mistake, remember. That one comment someone made you, remember. That one embarrassing moment, remember. Your mind becomes a time machine that takes you everywhere except the present. Questions. But on days when you've lived with purpose, days when you are productive, grateful, learning, you fall asleep peacefully because your mind feels satisfied, not empty. Questions. Purpose creates a sense of direction. And when the mind has direction, it stops drifting into the dead ends of worry. Let's bring this into a very relatable moment. Questions. Think of exam days in school or college, when you are studying intensely, fully focused, trying to understand concepts. You barely worry about unnecessary things. But the moment the exam ends, questions, and suddenly you have a long stretch of free time, your mind starts overthinking about marks, results, future, comments from others, and 1,000 imaginary disasters. Nothing changed externally. Questions. Purpose simply left the room and overthinking took its seat. One important truth is this: overthinking is not a personality trait. It's a habit created by idle time. Questions. People who fill their days with purpose, learning, growing, contributing, creating, naturally reduce the mental space available for unnecessary rumination. Questions. It's not that they are stronger than others. They're simply busier with things that matter. Another daily life example, consider someone who starts exercising regularly. Initially, questions. They might have a lot of mental noise, doubts, and worries. But as days pass, the routine itself becomes therapy. Their mind stays active, their body stays engaged, and their energy levels rise. Questions. Overthinking slowly fades, not because the person magically stopped worrying, but because they started living with structure and purpose. A child lost in drawing makes no time for fear. Questions. A musician lost in practicing forgets their worries. A baker focused on baking forgets their sadness. A gardener planting seeds forgets their stress. Questions. A person serving others forgets their own overthinking. Purpose is not always a grand life mission. Sometimes it's something simple: cleaning your room, helping your family, organizing your desk. Questions. Reading a chapter, journaling, taking a walk, learning a skill, practicing gratitude. Every time you choose a meaningful activity, you choose peace over panic. You choose growth over fear. Questions. You choose clarity over confusion. If overthinking is darkness, purpose is the light. If overthinking is noise, purpose is the melody. If overthinking is a storm, purpose is the anchor. Questions. And the more you fill your life with purpose, the less your mind will wander. Because a mind engaged with meaning has no time to create imaginary suffering. Questions. There is a beautiful but often misunderstood truth about life. Being busy does not automatically mean being productive, peaceful, or happy. Questions. Because there are two very different kinds of busy that we experience: at the busyness that drains us and the busyness that drives us. One is a burden, the other is a blessing. Questions. One makes you tired, the other makes you inspired. One steals your energy, the other fuels your soul. If someone asks you, "How are you?" and your first response is questions, Busy yaar, just too busy. That sentence can either reflect stress or satisfaction, depending on what you are busy with. Questions. Let's understand this difference through daily life examples that all of us can relate to. Imagine two people working in the same office. Both start their day at the same time. Questions. Take the same lunch break and leave at the same hour. But one of them returns home exhausted, irritated, complaining, and mentally drained. The other returns home tired but fulfilled, peaceful. Questions. And proud of how the day went. Same hours, same routine, same building, but completely different energy levels. What happened? The first person was burdened, busy, doing tasks they don't enjoy. Questions. Working only out of pressure, fear, or compulsion, feeling disconnected from the purpose behind the work. Their mind is heavy because the heart is not aligned. Questions. The second person was purposefully busy, engaged in tasks with awareness, giving their best with intention, feeling connected with the meaning behind the work. Questions. Purpose turns the same effort into something uplifting. The workload may be equal, but the emotional weight is not. Think of a mother who wakes up early, prepares food, manages the home. Questions. Supports her family, answers questions, solves problems, cleans, cooks. Questions. Organized, and yet she doesn't call this burden. She calls it responsibility, love, or simply life. She is busy, but purposefully busy. Her busyness has a heartbeat. Questions. It is fueled by love. Now compared with a person who is forced to work a job they dislike. Every task feels heavy. Every minute feels slow. Every Monday feels like a mountain. They feel busy. Questions. But not alive. There is effort, but not energy. This is burden busy. Another simple example. Think of a student studying just to avoid scolding or punishment. They will study with stress. Questions. Lack of interest and constant distraction. Their mind feels pressured, not purposeful. But think of a student who studies because they want to learn, grow, and build a better future. Questions. They feel tired sometimes, yes, but not mentally suffocated. That is purposeful busyness. Purpose transforms effort into enthusiasm. Questions. There is a huge difference between dragging yourself through tasks and driving yourself through them. One more everyday situation. Imagine cleaning your room. Questions. If you're doing it only because your parents told you, it feels like a burden. You take hours, you feel irritated, and your mind resists every little movement. Questions. But if you decide to clean because you want clarity, you want a better environment, or you want to feel fresh, suddenly the same task feels lighter. You put on music, you move faster. Questions. You enjoy arranging things, and when you finish, you smile with satisfaction. The work was the same, the energy was different. This is the power of purpose. Let's look at fitness. Questions. Ask anyone who goes to the gym only because they feel guilty. They dread every minute. The treadmill feels like punishment. Every second feels like weight on the mind. Questions. But someone who goes because they love staying healthy or enjoy the process feels energized. They sweat the same. They lift the same. They strain the same muscles. But their spirit is different. Questions. They are purposefully busy. Purpose changes the emotional chemistry of your work. There is also a digital example. We often feel busy because we are scrolling endlessly, replying to messages, questions, jumping from one notification to another. But this busyness is hollow. It feels like we're doing a lot, but at the end of the day, we feel empty. Questions. That's the burden kind of busy, the kind that runs without direction. But when we are working on something meaningful, writing, creating, learning, planning, questions, organizing, we may spend the same amount of time, but we end the day fulfilled. That's purposeful busy. The question is not, how busy are you? The real question is, questions. What kind of busy are you? Are you running around without meaning or moving forward with intention? Here is another example you will love. Remember playing a sport as a child? Questions. You would run for hours, jumping, chasing, sweating, getting dirty. And yet at the end, you had unlimited energy left to play more. Why? Because that busyness was joyful, purposeful. Questions aligned with your heart. Now imagine running the same amount in a school drill you didn't enjoy. Suddenly you felt tired in 10 minutes. The difference was not physical, it was emotional. Questions. When the heart loves the work, the mind never gets tired. Purposefully busy does not mean overworking. It means working with meaning. It means choosing tasks that align with your goals, values, questions, and growth. It means engaging your mind in things that bring progress, peace, or joy. Even small tasks feel powerful when done with intention. Burdened busy drains your energy. Questions. Purposeful busy expands your energy. One steals your joy, the other strengthens your happiness. So don't aim to live a busy life. Aim to live a purposefully busy life. Questions. Because being busy is not impressive. Being purpose-driven is. And when you understand this difference, life feels lighter, happier, and far more meaningful. Questions. There's a beautiful law of life that most people forget. When you move your body, your mood moves with it. When you take action, even a small one, your emotions start shifting. Questions. When you begin doing something, anything, your mind stops sinking and starts rising. This is why they say motion creates emotion. Your movement shapes your mood. Questions. Think of a morning when you wake up feeling low. You don't feel like getting out of bed. You don't feel like talking, thinking, or doing anything. Your mind says, questions. Just stay lying here. And you listen. You stay there scrolling, staring, thinking, overthinking. And what happens? Your mood becomes worse. Your thoughts become heavier. Questions. What was a little sadness becomes a cloud over your entire day. Now imagine another scenario. On a day when you feel low, you force yourself, just a little, to sit up, walk to the kitchen. Questions. Drink water, take a shower, clean your room, or step outside for fresh air. What happens? Automatically, your mood shifts. The problem may not disappear. The challenge may still be there. Questions, but your energy changes. You suddenly feel lighter, clearer, a little more hopeful. Why? Because you moved. Energy rises with activity. Think of a child who is crying. If you tell them, don't cry. Questions. Stop thinking about it. They cry louder. But if you distract them, play with them, walk with them, or give them something to do, their tears magically stop. The moment they engage in an activity, questions, their emotions shift. Why? Because motion creates emotion. And adults are no different. We simply learn to hide it better. Consider this simple daily life example. Questions. If you are ever upset or stressed at work and you stay sitting in one place, staring at your screen, you begin to spiral. Your mind starts creating worst-case scenarios. Your thoughts become tense. Questions. But if you stand up, walk outside for 2 minutes, stretch your back, get a glass of water, look at the sky, your entire emotional frequency changes. You feel calmer, fresher, more grounded. Questions. Your body moves, so your emotions moved along with it. There's a wonderful truth hidden in this. Your emotions follow your actions, not the other way around. Questions. Most people wait to feel motivated before they do something. But motivation doesn't visit idle people. Motivation visits people who begin, who take the first step. Questions. Who trust that movement will bring momentum. Think about cleaning your room. You may not feel like doing it. You look around and feel overwhelmed. But the moment you pick one thing, book, a shirt, questions, a paper, and put it in place, something shifts inside you. You start feeling more energetic. Then you pick up another thing and another. And suddenly the whole room is clean and you feel proud. Questions, light, even joyful. The action created the emotion. This principle applies everywhere. Look at people who exercise regularly. Questions. They don't feel energetic before exercising. They feel energetic because they exercise. They push themselves into motion, and that motion creates a powerful emotional shift. After a workout, questions. Even if they walked in feeling heavy-hearted, they walk out feeling stronger, lighter, and better about their life. Even a 5-minute walk has the power to transform your emotional weather. Questions. Or take an example of someone feeling anxious before an important task. Sitting still makes the anxiety worse. But pacing, walking, stretching, deep breathing, these small motions reduce the anxiety. Questions. The body calms the mind. Just as stagnation creates sadness, action creates aliveness. Another everyday example, when you are upset after an argument, sitting alone in a room only magnifies your hurt. Questions. But if you start cooking something, cleaning your space, taking a shower, driving to a peaceful place, or even listening to music while walking around, your intensity reduces. Questions. Your mind becomes lighter. Your emotional fire cools down. Not because the problem has vanished, but because motion changed your emotional vibration. Let's consider mornings. Questions. When you wake up early and start the day with a routine, making your bed, praying, journaling, stretching, going for a walk, your day flows positively. Questions. But when you wake up and stay on social media for an hour, your mind becomes cluttered, tired, and anxious before the day even begins. The difference is simple. One morning had motion. Questions. The other had stagnation. Even animals live by this law. When animals feel stressed, they shake their bodies or run to release tension. Humans, we hold everything inside and remain still. Questions. Hoping our emotions will fix themselves, but nature never created healing through stillness. Healing comes through motion. Take example of creativity. Questions. If you sit waiting for inspiration before starting your work, inspiration rarely comes. But if you begin, writing the first line, drawing the first stroke, questions, playing the first note, suddenly creativity starts flowing. The act of doing creates the feeling of inspiration. Motion creates emotion. And this applies in moments of sadness as well. Questions. When someone is grieving or feeling low, telling them to be positive doesn't help. But asking them to take a walk, talk to someone, cook a meal, questions, or step outside brings more comfort than 1,000 motivational quotes, because movement shifts emotional stuckness. Even spiritually, action is considered the medicine for a restless mind. Questions. Doing small acts of kindness, helping someone, watering plants, lighting a lamp, folding clothes, these acts bring calmness. They give meaning, direction, movement to the mind. Questions. When your life stops moving, your emotions stop flowing. When you start moving, your emotions begin healing. So if you ever find yourself stuck in negativity, remember. Questions. Don't wait for your mood to change. Change your motion and your mood will follow. Because the moment you begin, even with the smallest step, your whole emotional world begins to shift from inside. Questions. That is the quiet magic of movement. It carries you from heaviness to lightness, from worry to clarity, from sadness to strength. Questions. In today's world, it is incredibly easy to stay busy and still feel empty, because not all busyness is equal. There is a huge difference between filling your time and fulfilling your time. Questions. Many people spend their entire day doing something, yet at the end of the day, they feel drained, unproductive, and dissatisfied. Why? Because their time was filled with distractions, not meaning. Questions. Let's be honest. Everyone is busy today. We are busy scrolling, busy switching between apps, busy watching reels, busy replying to endless messages, busy thinking about what others are doing. Questions. And busy running behind things that don't nourish our soul. This kind of busyness gives us a temporary escape, but leaves us permanently exhausted. Imagine you have a bowl. Questions. If you keep filling it with air, it will look full, but it has no substance. Many people's lives today are exactly like that bowl, full but empty. Now think of your mind as a garden. Questions. If you don't plant flowers intentionally, weeds will grow automatically. Mindless distractions are those weeds. They grow fast, they look harmless at first. Questions. But slowly they take over your entire garden, leaving no space for anything meaningful to grow. Meaningful tasks, on the other hand, are like planting seeds. Slow at first, questions, but with time they bloom and bring beauty into your life. Let's explore this through everyday examples. Imagine you come home after a long day. You're tired, questions. So you lie down and pick up your phone just for 5 minutes. Suddenly it becomes 1 hour, then two. You've watched videos, laughed at memes, checked random profiles, replayed reels, questions, and jumped from one meaningless thing to another. By the end of the night, instead of feeling rested, you feel mentally drained. You close your eyes and wonder, questions. Why am I feeling so empty? Because the mind was busy but not nourished. Now imagine a different evening. You come home tired, yes, but instead of diving into your phone, questions, you engage in something meaningful, even something small. You talk to your family, read a few pages of a good book, cook a meal you enjoy, organize your room, journal your thoughts, questions, or reflect on your day. Maybe you go for a walk, meditate for 5 minutes, listen to calming music, or plan something creative, questions. These tasks also take time, but they add to your life instead of draining you. Instead of feeling empty, you feel grounded. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel peaceful, questions. Instead of feeling restless, you feel centered. Your mind was busy, but purposefully busy. Meaningful engagement creates mental clarity. Mindless distraction creates mental clutter. Questions. Think about binge watching. Almost everyone has experienced this. You decide to watch just one episode, and before you know it, 6 episodes have passed. Your eyes are burning. Questions. Your mind feels foggy, and you feel guilty for wasting your time. But you kept going because it was easy, and easy things always tempt the mind. Yet, questions. When you finish something meaningful, even a simple task like cleaning your desk, you feel proud. When you complete a chapter of a book, you feel enriched. When you practice a skill, write something, questions, help someone, or spend quality time with someone, you feel alive. Meaningful busyness gives satisfaction, meaningless busyness gives fatigue. Let's take a real life example of two friends, questions, both of whom had a free Sunday. The first friend spent the whole day scrolling, watching random content, eating whatever came in front of him, lying on his bed, questions, and lazily jumping from one distraction to another. At the end of the day, he felt irritated, dull, and confused about why the day felt wasted. Questions. The second friend decided to structure her day with simple, meaningful activities. She exercised for a bit, cooked something she loved, listened to a podcast, cleaned her space, met a close friend, questions, and read a few pages of a book. She too was busy, but her busyness enriched her. She ended the day feeling peaceful, rested, and satisfied. The difference. The choices, not their circumstances. Questions. The first friend let distractions choose for him. The second friend chose meaning for herself. This is the difference between a life that slips away and a life that grows. Another everyday example. Questions. When you're talking to someone but also checking your phone, browsing, or multitasking, your mind feels scattered. But when you give full attention to the person in front of you, questions, the feeling of connection fills you with warmth. That is meaningful engagement. Mindless distraction feels like eating junk food. It tastes good for a moment, but leaves you feeling unwell afterward. Questions. Meaningful tasks are like wholesome meals. They take effort, but they nourish you deeply. Even something as simple as watering plants, lighting a candle, cleaning your cupboard, questions, or writing your gratitude journal can make you feel mentally refreshed. These little actions carry big meaning. Meaningful busyness gives your mind a sense of progress. Questions. Distractions give your mind a sense of escape, but no progress. When your day is filled with distractions, you feel like you're constantly running yet reaching nowhere. Questions. When your day is filled with meaning, you feel like every step is taking you forward, even if slowly. This is why it's important not just to stay busy, questions, but to stay busy with tasks that add value to your life. Because at the end of the day, it's not the number of hours you filled, but the quality of those hours that determines your happiness. Questions. A meaningful day leads to a meaningful life. And a meaningful life is built by choosing purpose over distraction. Again and again, one simple decision at a time.